Well, good morning. You are listening to KHHALP Arcata 94.7 FM. I know that there are intense feelings. There are pretty difficult times happening, well, all over the world, of course, but also more locally in the United States. And it's difficult to know what to do with the feelings that these things conjure up in us. And, wherever you are, driving to work or at work or chilling out at home, sometimes these moments, these seemingly historical changes that happen can be frightening and can cause feelings of tension and anxiety. And I always like turning to Thich Nhat Hanh just for some wisdom, and here I have a little reading that I'm going to share with you. I thought might relate to those feelings. It's called Understanding Ill-Being. We shouldn't try to run away from our suffering. Embrace your suffering and look deeply into it. With deep looking, understanding will arise and compassion will be born. If we have already understood our own path, it will be much easier to understand the pain of another person. If we understand the nature of the ill-being inside us, it will be much easier to understand the nature of the ill-being around us. In a civilization where we are so focused on technology and material wealth, there is little room for compassion. Yet understanding and compassion are what make happiness possible. I was a little suspicious of the phrase happiness. I know that I can't remember which country it is, but they have a happiness register rather than a register of how much wealth the nation has. But I feel like we are, as human creatures, always finding the balance between comfort and discomfort. Discomfort is part of what we sign on to. There is, even when you have a shopping basket full of groceries, really wonderful goodies, you might end up in a line waiting, and something goes wrong with the register, and you're standing there going, "Oh, I thought I should have joined that other line, and the other line's going much quicker, and I'm stuck here. Should I keep on staying in this line? Should I change?" And then suddenly, even though you've got wonderful things in the basket, which is like in itself is probably as good as kings ate 500 years ago, you're still getting wound up by waiting in a line. So it's a it, we are throughout history informed by anticipation, disappointment, anticipation, and reward. And a few minutes I'm going to share later on in the hour a breathing meditation. There are a few universals that definitely sit with us all the time, that are really ways of recognizing or being objective or looking objectively at those different states. I have a few things that I want to share with you all this morning. One of them is the feeling of overwhelm that one might have in the face of events around us, and something occurred in a conversation I was having with some folks last week, and it was about saving the world, and sometimes that's just too much to wrap your head around, what aspect of it is savable. Well, there was followed up this concept of saving our world, a world. And this can start with yourself, so that you come to understand that this center that, this is when I speak in I statements. I came to realize that I need to be able to save myself. I need to be able to work restoratively to this framework that I meander through life with, and in doing that, I am saving the world, because for all intents and purposes, everything around me is the world. And then I think through the conversation, this idea occurred that each generous act, each compassionate act, each loving act towards others and others' worlds, whatever those worlds are, saves a world. So you're starting from compassion and love and a sense of wholeness from the self, can then spread out to others, and you can save worlds around you. And it's quite a fun concept to slip into the idea that a rabbit is the world, because the rabbit has its perception of the world. And so each tiny gesture, each tiny act of loving compassion can be an act of saving the world. And it was. I just felt it was quite relieving to think, oh yeah, I can start really small. I can start very small and work from there, and know that can be enough. There's an aspect to big, grandiose ideas that can be so intimidating and overwhelming that it's like, oh, where do I start? What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And I feel like beginning from a good balanced place from the self, making sure that your own needs are met. There's a way of making sure that you can then spread that loving compassion everywhere else. I think there is something to be said for those that indulge in acts of violence are fundamentally not getting their needs met. That there is, at the very core of all of that, deep insecurity or an unsettled state that creates the kinds of tensions that produces violence. And I'm a firm believer in allowing compassion and working from the self to be counter to that violence. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you can either follow along or catch a wave as we go. But one of the things that in this process that I'm about to walk you through is the idea of where one holds tension in the abdomen. I mean the lower part of the torso, the belly and the pelvic floor. And so there's a little bit of breath manipulation here. So as one may bring one's mind to some feeling of tension in the abdomen, in the lower part of the torso, I'm going to invite you to breathe in to that place of tension and then breathe in a little bit more, and then we're going to breathe out and then take a tiny breath in and breathe out a little bit more. And the game is, the fun times are that as you breathe in, see if you can bring your mind to that point of tension melting away. And if you feel it melt away, then take a little bit of a larger breath in and then breathe out. So first thing to do is to bring your mind to your abdomen, and by that the area below the ribs. So wherever you're sitting, wherever you're lying, whatever you're doing, if you're driving along, then for sure you can do this. If you're doing some kind of household chore, for sure you can do this. Or if you're a typewriter, if you're a typewriter, by typewriter I mean a laptop or your computer. I don't know how many of you are actually at a typewriter right now. So you're just going to bring your mind a little bit to your belly and the surrounding area, and see if you can just sense that inner area. And in sensing that inner area, see if you can feel around for a little place, a little point of tension, just something that's being held more than everywhere else. So maybe when you breathe in, take a big deep breath in, or a slightly enlarged breath in. Let's see if you can sense where that point of tension is, and breathe in a little bit more. And then gradually let the breath come out as it melts away. And then take a tiny breath in a little bit more. And breathe out a little bit more. And then breathe in. Breathe in a little bit more. Feel it melt away as you breathe out. Take a tiny breath in and breathe out a little bit more. And you can follow your own pattern, of course. Your own pattern of breathing in, feeling for that point of tension. Breathe in a little bit more. And breathe out and let the point of tension melt away. And you can breathe in a little bit and breathe out even more. And you can use images to allow that point of tension to melt away. Images, your favorite melty image. It might be cheese on toast. It might be chocolate left on the dashboard of a car, which is tragic in so many different ways, but melted chocolate is an image you can use. Or water melting from snow to a little rivulet. To breathe in, bring your mind to that point of tension, breathe in a little bit more, and breathe out and use the melty image to melt that tension away. Breathe in a little bit and melt even more. And then just go back to normal breathing for a minute and see if there's anything changed in that place that you've been playing with. And it might bring to mind a different place of tension. It might bring to mind a change in the whole torso. It might elicit a change of mood. It might have changed the pace of your heart rate. And this way of using breath to melt away tension can be focused on muscle groups. So in practicing exercise or stretches or yoga positions or just any action, you can use the breath as a core support for any action you take. So I'll tell you what, here this might be a fun thing to do. Let your eye settle on something in the room where you are, or while you're driving. It's not going to interfere with safety or anything, but apply the same technique of breathing whilst using your focus, and see how breathing in, breathing a little bit more, and melting away. See how that changes the way that you perceive things around you. And take a little breath and breathe out a little bit more. And breathe in. Breathe in a little bit more. Sense how your perception changes as you breathe out and melt away any tension that's associated with what you see. And breathe out a little bit more. And this is a key part of connection to how one perceives. And when we talk about taking care of oneself first, there are very basic things that go on inside you which feed into one's subconscious, one's deep mammalian brain, that may actually affect the perception of almost anything around you. So one's response to an email or one's response to any form of circumstance can be shaped by the mammalian brain either telling you that you're in a state of tension or you're in a state of deep need, one way or another, and that can affect your mood and affect the way that you respond to circumstance. And a very easy way of returning to some state of harmony is by identifying the tensions that exist in your own frame, and then allowing yourself the luxury of time to breathe through those tensions. It's not to say that tension is not useful. It is useful. It's definitely a means by which one gets things done. But if you have a state of chronic tension where your diaphragm and your breathing is habitually positioned in a state of there's a tiger in the room, then everything then becomes a response to an imagined tiger in the room. So laughter, yawning, and breathing meditations reset the diaphragm so that you can negotiate with your imagination on a profoundly mammalian level. Animals, of course, they respond to fear 1 minute and then switch it off. Unfortunately, humans have a propensity for responding to fear and then holding on to it long past the time when the danger's gone. And we're bombarded with images which might bring about the idea that we are in danger, our environment is unsafe. And a way of undoing that is to bring our minds to our breath in relationship to tension. so that we can melt that tension away. We can deal with the issues of the day from a balanced, harmonious, and loving place. So one more time, take a breath in and breathe in a little bit more and melt that tension away. Take in a little breath and breathe out more than the little breath was taken in. You'll begin to maybe feel your diaphragm sitting lower in your torso. Okay, so there is one other way of, a simpler way of dealing with tension and anxious situations, and that is simply breathing in a little bit more than you breathe, breathing out a little bit more than you breathe in. And this is tied to the two systems of response to everyday living, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic systems. And on the in-breath is normally connected with the sympathetic, which is like get ready, get set, go. And the out-breath is more tied with rest, restore, digest. And so if you mechanically focus on the out-breath, you're telling your body it's time to restore, rest, and digest. And relate, actually. There is a connective aspect to the out-breath. So, one more time, we're just going to breathe in and breathe out, and let that breath melt away all that tension. You can play with this breath form with thoughts, so you can just allow thoughts to drift away. So breathing in, and as you breathe out, track the thought melting away. Breathing in, and as you breathe out, track the thought melting away. Okay, so this is coming from Playhouse Arts, KHHALP Arcata 94.7 FM. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. I hope you have a lovely breath-filled day.